While it might seem like the first slow month in a while, we got some heavy hitters this month, as well as quite a few remasters, whether you like it or not. But regardless, gameranx is here to bring you the top 10 games releasing in April 2017. These are the ones we really think you should keep an eye on, so let's get started off with number 10. Drawn to Death is David Jaffe's latest game, the guy behind God of War and, more importantly, Twisted Metal. This game has been in development for a while. It was announced way back in 2014 as a PlayStation exclusive, and it's kind of been flying under the radar, and I was actually surprised to see it finally releasing now. What Drawn to Death is a third-person shooter/brawler hybrid that is completely multiplayer only in arenas with only 4 characters at once. It is very much character-based though, because every character is completely different and wacky and zany, and different powers negate others, and hopefully it'll make for a pretty balanced and combative experience. I don't know, but I will say that the visual style is definitely the best thing this game has going for it. It's basically designed after a high schooler's notebook, just scribbling doodles. There's a crazy stripper shark head lady, there's like a punk rock dude with a machine gun, there's a demon devil woman, and the levels look absolutely dumb and ridiculous. It's going to be a budget game at something like $20, so if you're looking for a cheap shooter to kick around in, Drawn to Death might be your thing this month. And at number 9, we have a remaster that is definitely worth talking about because it's the Disney Afternoon Collection. For a lot of you older folks out there, this comes with some really good shit. It packages in some of the best Disney games from the late 80s, early 90s, including Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, and Tailspin. These are up-res remastered versions of the original games you love. They're not remakes like the one we saw for DuckTales last year. These are the original games in their pure form, just looking a little bit better on your TV. And all of these games bring a little bit something different to the table. You get some really good 2-player multiplayer, you get some shoot-'em-up action, and of course, lots of platforming. I think there's a lot to love here, especially if you like the source material. If you didn't grow up playing these games, they are still really good games, so it's worth checking out. And at number 8, we have Dragon Quest Heroes 2. Dragon Quest Heroes is basically the Dynasty Warriors spin on Dragon Quest. Similar to what Hyrule Warriors was to Zelda, Dragon Quest Heroes is a pretty good series, and the second one brings better world exploration and RPG elements that are strengthened and deepened, because the idea this time around with the sequel was to make it more representative of the Dragon Quest feel. Impressively enough, you can actually use your previous game saves to get Lucius and Aurora costumes, and apparently the 4-player multiplayer missions are pretty awesome. If you're a Dragon Quest fan or a Dynasty Warriors fan, and maybe you like these crossover things, check it out this month. And at number 7, we have the Silver Case, a remaster that we think is worth noting because it's actually a remaster of Suda51's visual novel game from 1999. The PC remaster of this game released last year, but now PS4 owners can get their hands on this. It was a once Japanese exclusive game that basically started Grasshopper Manufacturer back in 1999. It's a very interesting visual novel point-and-click story-based adventure that you can tell was made on a very limited budget from a young studio, but it has a lot of charm, and you can see where a lot of Suda51's games' later influences came to life. You experience weird characters, a strange city made up of wards filled with detectives, murder mysteries, and a serial killer. The game almost feels a bit like a thematic prequel to Killer 7, so if that was your thing, keep your eye on the Silver Case. And at number 6, we have What Remains of Edith Finch. This is from the makers of The Unfinished Swan, and it's a surrealistic, strange collection of tales from a family in Washington. You've probably seen the trailers. They don't really indicate very much what the game is really about. You kind of have to experience it and watch a YouTube video or play it for yourself to really get what they're going for here. You play as Edith Finch exploring her sad, unfortunate family's memories, and they all span various times in the family's lineage, but they're all first person and they all usually result in a death. It sounds creepy and weird, but people who've gotten their hands on it so far already seem to love it. So if you're looking for a weird and alternative experience in April, this should be the game. And at number 5, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Nintendo Switch is finally getting another big game, hooray! Although, you probably played this one already. That being said, it is worth noting Mario Kart 8 originally released on the Wii U. It was one of the most successful Wii U games, but not a bunch of people bought Wii U. And not a lot of people got to play Mario Kart 8, so now maybe more people got the Switch, more people have a chance to play Mario Kart 8 because it's a really damn good Mario Kart game. And now, since you get the Deluxe version, you get the best version of the game with all the DLC from the original game and some fixes. Most notably, they fixed the battle mode, which was absolutely garbage on Wii U. Now you can also play as Splatoon characters, there's 2 new vehicles, and the game is in 1080p now, which doesn't sound like much, but that's a big deal for a Nintendo console. And then of course you get the added Switch playability with portable mode, and you can actually do local wireless connection play, if you know other people with a Switch, which you probably don't, I don't, but hey. And at number 4, because we absolutely love sniping games here, we have Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, not to be confused with Sniper Elite, a very different game, and I see people get that mixed up very often. In Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, you're dropped behind enemy lines in Eastern Europe, and basically it's up to you to single-handedly dismantle some evil factions. This series has flown under the radar forever, but it seems like this time around they're really trying to step it up to the big stage with a lot of features and a lot of freedom here. You're dropped into this world, and it's up to you to decide what path you want to take. Most notably with the way the game is designed, you can emphasize sniping gameplay, but you can also get close quarters and stealthy if you want. And thankfully, it seems like they actually did a good job balancing the two, which is very difficult for a game like this. It's stealthy, it's slow-paced, it's semi-realistic, and if you like a slow tactical stealth game where you scout out enemies and outposts using your drone or your scope, Ghost Warrior 3 might be your thing. They've been working on it for a long time, and it's looking to shape up to be a pretty intense game. And at number 3, speaking of something that's been worked on for a while, we have the final release of Yooka-Laylee. This was one of those huge Kickstarter games that people flocked to because it was basically a spiritual successor to everybody's favorite Banjo-Kazooie. I'm very curious to see if a game like this can exist in 2017 and really be embraced by players. Hopefully, I think it will. The game has experienced some controversies lately, but ultimately it does look like a solid and fun platformer. While the level design and the gameplay looks awesome and fun, I think the one thing we have to look out for is hopefully the characters stick. Hopefully they're funny and memorable, because honestly, that's why we remember so many classic platformer games. And who knows, if it's big and it's good and it's really successful, it could revive the 3D platformer genre, something that I never thought we would see again. And at number 2, we have Outlast II, a game that is based in the universe of the original game, but set in a completely different place with new characters. And funnily enough, despite the game releasing this month, the game has been shrouded in some secrecy. We don't really know too much about it. But honestly, sometimes I kind of like a nice surprise. And considering the first Outlast was a huge hit for horror fans, I think Outlast 2 could only strengthen things and really take things to the next level. This time, it seems like the game is tackling themes with like religion and the occult, with burning upside down crosses and weird stuff like that. Visually, it looks even better than the first one, which really does heighten the horror factor, which I hope they really hone in on this time around. And apparently the game is even more violent and messed up than the original, which, all right, awesome, bring it on. But at number 1, we have Persona 5 from everybody's beloved series. This game has seemed like it was in the making forever. For those of you that don't know, the Persona games, basically you jump between evil alternative worlds while dealing with your high school self in the real world. If it sounds weird, it is, but I think that's why people like it. It's a turn-based JRPG with a lot of style. Like, the interface here is amazing looking, there's slick music, everything is really cool, and it's been out in Japan for a while, and people have been giving it rave reviews to the point where some North American Persona fans have been importing the game and playing it in Japanese and just figuring it out. And everybody really seems to love it, so that's why it's one of the most hotly anticipated games this month. I've also seen a lot of people getting into the Persona games who aren't a fan of JRPG stuff, so I think that also makes this release really promising. It's been a seemingly long wait filled with delays, but we'll finally get our hands on Persona 5 on April 4th. Guys, those are the games we're looking forward to the most in April, but there's a lot more coming out this month. Most notably some mentions. We have the Sexy Brutale from the very creative developers Tequila Works. Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, which is a first-person shooter campaign that I think you shouldn't overlook, it's really good. And the surprise sleeper hit on Steam, Portal Knights, is getting a console release. These are the games we're keeping our eyes on in April, but there's a lot more out there. The list is pretty big, so let us know what you're gonna be playing in April 2017, because we wanna hear about it. If you got your own top 5 or your own top 10, let us know. If you had a good time coming around here, maybe learned about a game or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton, and we really appreciate it. But if you're new for some reason, subscribing is a good idea because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.